Hey guys, how's it going? This is Ideas of Ice and Fire, and this is my review for episode 5 of Game of Thrones Season 7. Now this episode opens up with Bronn saving Jaime from the water. My god, what was Jaime thinking? He had to know that that dragon would protect Daenerys, and Bronn says as much to him. And Bronn also says that this is your problem. I don't deal with dragons, I'm out. And I totally agree with Bronn. I totally support his decision, because as a sellsword, you have to weigh the risk and the rewards, and the risk here is simply too high because Daenerys Targaryen has dragons. Speaking of Daenerys Targaryen and her dragons, she has gathered the remaining Lannisters and Tarlys and told them to bend the knee or die. Several of them bend the knee immediately, and then Drogon gives them a good roar, and a lot more bend the knee. Randyll Tarly and his son Dickon do not. Randyll Tarly's reasoning is a little iffy at best. Daenerys was born in Dragonstone, and believe me, if Cersei had dragons, she would have no problem with burning cities. Daenerys has actually shown some restraint, if you ask me. But anyways, Randyll refuses to bend the knee to Daenerys, and his son Dickon follows suit. Daenerys sentences both of them to death right there on the spot. She gives the dragon fire command to Drogon, and he incinerates both of them immediately. So that means that Sam is the only person now that can carry on the Tarly name, which is awesome to me because it's a total slap in Randyll Tarly's face. I don't agree with Varys at all. I don't think Daenerys was being too ruthless here. Just because she's using a dragon to execute people doesn't actually make it any worse in my opinion. Randyll and Dickon were alive for what, 3 seconds after Drogon lit them on fire? They barely suffered. Many would suffer more from hanging. Aerys Targaryen roasted Ned Stark's father in his armor. How long do you think that took? Aegon Targaryen burned 4,000 men alive. Daenerys has shown an extraordinary amount of restraint, and a lot of that is due to Tyrion. But I think at her core, she does have a gentle heart, and come on guys, this is war. Grey Wind, Robb Stark's direwolf, ripped men apart on the battlefield. I'd rather be incinerated in 3 seconds by a dragon than ripped apart by a direwolf. So we got more confirmation that Jon Snow is a Targaryen in multiple ways in this episode. He pets Drogon, which could indicate Valyrian ancestry, and Daenerys even seems shocked by this. And in passing, Gilly reads that Rhaegar Targaryen actually married Lyanna Stark in secret, so Jon Snow is not a bastard. Jon Targaryen is the heir to the 7 kingdoms. In Winterfell, Bran wargs a bunch of ravens and he's using them to spy on the army of the dead. But the Night King totally thwarts Bran's power. And this shows you just how immensely potent the Night King really is. With all that Bran has learned, with as powerful as he is right now, he is still no match for the Night King. So Bran sends ravens to all the lords of Westeros, letting them know that the dead are coming. Jon Snow gets wind of this and immediately wants to march back north. Tyrion comes up with the idea of capturing a White to prove to Cersei that they actually exist and that the others are a significant threat. With the help of Bronn and the Onion Knight, Tyrion sneaks into King's Landing to meet with Jaime Lannister. It was a very interesting scene. Obviously, Jaime and Tyrion still love each other. Although they're on opposite sides, Jaime understands that Tyrion did what he had to do. Tywin was going to execute him for something that he did not do, and Jaime knows that he didn't do it at this point. So Jaime agrees to discuss a truce with Cersei. I was curious to see how Cersei would react to this information, but she already knew. It seems like Cersei has been utilizing Varys' system of spies. Cersei has a sneaky plan going on here. I know that she plans some kind of treachery because she mentions Tywin Lannister, who of course was the mind behind the Red Wedding. But for now, Cersei understands that a truce with Daenerys is probably their best option. Plus, she's pregnant, so in some way she must be thinking about the future of the child that she carries. Whether or not this child is actually born remains to be seen. As you guys probably remember, the witch told Cersei that she would only have 3 children. But also we must remember that prophecy is treacherous. In the show, there are several theories that suggest that Gendry is actually Cersei's child, the one that she mentions in season 1 that died. Gendry does, after all, say that the one thing that he remembers about his mother was that she had yellow hair. Speaking of Gendry, Davos meets up with Gendry in King's Landing, and Gendry agrees to go with him beyond the wall to fight the others. I love the fact that Gendry has a warhammer here. It's obviously a callback to Robert Baratheon's warhammer. It even has a Baratheon sigil on it. and Gendry clearly knows how to use it. He takes out those 2 guards in like 4 seconds. It was awesome. Back in Winterfell, the Northern Lords are saying that they would rather follow Sansa than Jon. Sansa obviously rejects this because Jon Snow is the king in the North. I must say, I don't get Arya's point at all. I think that she is being needlessly antagonistic towards her sister for absolutely no reason whatsoever. They should be working together. What Sansa may desire deep down is of no consequence. If Jon Snow doesn't return, then the North will need a ruler. And no, we can't just kill people for quote-unquote insulting Jon. We're not Joffrey. And so what if Sansa likes nice things? So what if she likes to feel better than other people? What does that have to do with anything? I think Arya is being utterly unreasonable here, and she's totally playing directly into Littlefinger's hands. If I was Littlefinger in this shot, I would totally be able to see Arya in my peripheral vision. For all her faceless men training, she can't hide herself from Littlefinger, so she's spying on Littlefinger and she thinks she's getting some juicy information, but really, Littlefinger is setting all this up to pit her against her sister, and she's just eating it up. The letter, if you didn't realize, is the letter that Cersei forced Sansa to write in Season 1 when Ned was first taken captive. And Littlefinger knows that Arya will view this as treason. He knows she's watching the entire time. That's why he says, Lady Stark sends her thanks. So to sum things up, I don't want to see the Starks fight. I think Arya should chill a little bit and give her sister a freaking break because she's the only sister you got, and winter is here. So the Maesters at the Citadel finally get Bran's letter, and they're completely dismissive of it. They don't listen to Sam, so Sam's like, you know what, screw it. He steals a bunch of scrolls from the archives, and he takes off and leaves Old Town. I'm honestly glad that they wrapped up the Old Town storyline, because in my opinion, it was the worst storyline so far this season. If I had to guess, I would say that Sam is going to Winterfell. That's the obvious choice. I absolutely love the scene where Gendry and Jon Snow meet, and Gendry calls Jon Snow short. And just for that second, you get that little look on Jon Snow's face like, don't call me short. I'm definitely reminded of Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark's interactions, and I hope these two can remain friends, but I'm not counting on it because of that last scene. Jon Snow, Davos, Jorah, and Gendry meet up with the wildlings at Eastwatch, and the Brotherhood without banners is actually locked away in cells. There's some banter back and forth for a little bit, and then they go beyond the wall. And this is totally paralleling the story of the last hero. He went out into the haunted forest, and slowly all of his companions died until he was the only one, and we don't have an end to that legend. I'm pretty sure that in the next episode we will see all of these men die, except for Jon Snow. One more interesting bit that I thought was worth mentioning was Jon Snow and Jorah share this little look when Jorah hugs Daenerys. You have Jorah, who's clearly in love with Daenerys and has been for forever, and you have Jon Snow, who's falling in love with Daenerys, obviously, and I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of rivalry between the two of them. If Jorah makes it back south alive, which I don't think that he will. I think this episode was pretty good. That beginning scene with Daenerys and the dragon looked absolutely fantastic. I love the way the clouds looked in the background. I loved Cersei's reaction to finding out that Olenna Tyrell poisoned Joffrey. She's an extremely vengeful person. She doesn't want to just kill you, she wants you to suffer. Compare Cersei to Daenerys, like I said. If Cersei had dragons, she would be ruthless. Like I said, this episode was decent. I'm not gonna bash it. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst. It set a lot of things up for the next episode. Highlights for me were all the scenes with the dragons. I can't commend the visual effects team enough for those dragons. They make them look so intimidating. The sound design, the roar is fantastic. It just looks great. The scales, the eyes, the mouth, the teeth. It's absolutely fantastic. The best dragon that I've ever seen. That's one of the best parts of this entire show. I love that the Night King demonstrated his power and forced Bran back inside of his body. That was epic. Like I said, Arya kind of annoyed me this episode. She came across as a petty child. All the while, Littlefinger is playing her like a fiddle. Arya should take 3 deep breaths, get some psychiatric help maybe, calm down a little bit. We can't just kill everybody, Arya. That's not the solution to everything, Arya. I get that you worship death and all, but chill. I give this episode a well-rounded 7. Don't forget to leave your Q&A in the comment section below, and if I missed anything important in this episode, feel free to tell me in the comment section below. There are also links to my Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon accounts in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more ideas of Ice and Fire.